Welcome back to our countdown of top reasons why Canada and the US should merge, as we examine who would benefit from the merger and what would be the drawbacks. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, maple syrup enthusiasts and burger lovers, gather round. We're here to explore a wild, possibly horrifying, and yet oddly intriguing idea. Canada and the United States merging into one glorious or disastrous supernation. Some call it annexation, others call it an economic alliance. We call it the biggest buddy comedy in history. While Donald Trump's suggestion that Canada should become the 51st state may have ruffled more than a few polite Canadian feathers, it's worth considering. Could this actually work? What would we call it? American? Can America? The Great North American Experiment? Or just one giant Costco warehouse filled with hockey rinks, gun ranges, and 24-hour Tim Hortons? While most Canadians scoff at the idea, 82% to be precise according to a recent poll, there's always a chance that a persuasive argument could sway the masses. So let's put on our best flannel, grab some poutine, and count down the top 10 reasons why Canada and the US should, or should absolutely never, become one. Number 10. Hockey would become America's national sport. Let's be real. Canada would finally get the respect it deserves by ensuring that hockey replaces baseball as America's pastime. With teams in Florida and Arizona already boasting more Canadians than American retirees, it's time to make it official. Just imagine Super Bowl-style halftime shows at the Stanley Cup Final, complete with pyrotechnics, celebrity performances, and some guy in a moose costume body-checking a bald eagle. The national anthem would be sung in both English and French, and Zambonis would replace cheerleaders as the main attraction between periods. The level of excitement would be unparalleled, and Americans would finally learn what offside really means. Number 9. More land, more fun. Merging with Canada would give the US an enormous chunk of new land, almost doubling its size overnight. Sure, most of it is frozen tundra, but think of the possibilities. More national parks, more snowmobiling, and finally, a chance for Americans to vacation somewhere cold that isn't Alaska. Plus, the US would finally have access to the Northwest Passage, a shipping route that's been blocked by ice for most of human history. Thanks, climate change! Imagine a road trip from Texas to the Yukon with no border checkpoints, and adventure seekers could explore the breathtaking landscapes of Banff, the rugged terrain of Newfoundland, and the serene beauty of the Great Lakes, all without needing a passport. Number 8. One giant military superpower. Canada and the US already share military interests from NORAD to NATO. If they joined forces, they'd become the ultimate global powerhouse. The only problem? Canada's military budget is roughly the cost of a mid-sized reality TV show, so they'd be relying on the US for most of the defense. In exchange, Canada could offer its elite Moose cavalry and the legendary toughness of its hockey enforcers. Think about it. Navy SEALs and Royal Canadian Mounties joining forces. Aircraft carriers adorned with maple leaves. A military budget so vast that even the most remote Canadian outpost would have state-of-the-art defense systems. The world wouldn't dare mess with Can America. Number 7. The ultimate healthcare compromise. Americans could finally get universal healthcare, and Canadians could finally get appointments within this calendar year. A merger would force a hybrid system, one that combines Canada's free healthcare with America's ability to get an MRI without waiting 6 months. Win-win! Imagine a scenario where Americans wouldn't have to choose between paying rent and getting a checkup, while Canadians wouldn't have to wait an eternity for a specialist appointment. Emergency rooms would no longer resemble crowded train stations, and access to affordable medication would be a reality. It's the healthcare dream team we never knew we needed. Number 6. Poutine at McDonald's nationwide. Currently, if you want fries smothered in cheese curds and gravy, you have to cross the border or make a sad homemade version that never quite hits the mark. A merger means poutine at every McDonald's, Taco Bell experimenting with poutine burritos, and Chick-fil-A developing a maple syrup-infused version served with a side of sauce. And let's not stop at McDonald's. Starbucks could introduce a Tim Hortons-inspired maple latte, Dunkin' Donuts could finally serve Timbits, and KFC could make poutine bowls a permanent menu item. Culinary unity has never tasted so good. Number 5. A diplomatic win for comedy. With Canada's reputation for being polite and America's reputation for, well, being loud, the world could use a bit of balance. Imagine a joint press conference. The American president boasting about a historic achievement, while the Canadian Prime Minister nods politely and apologizes for interrupting. It's the buddy cop movie of politics we never knew we needed. Late-night television would thrive as satirists find endless comedic material in the contrast between Canadian humility and American bravado. International negotiations would become a mix of passive-aggressive apologies and bold demands. Politics has never been this entertaining. Number 4. The maple syrup reserves would belong to America. Canada controls 70% of the world's maple syrup supply. Yes, that's a real statistic. Right now, they even have a strategic maple syrup reserve. If a merger happened, America wouldn't have to worry about another maple syrup heist, which also really happened. No more rationing maple syrup like it's oil in the 1970s. It would be a free-flowing golden elixir for all. The pancake industry would boom. IHOP would reach new heights of dominance, and morning breakfasts across the country would be elevated to new, delicious levels. Number 3. U.S. politics would get a Canadian upgrade. Imagine a Congress with Canadian-style decorum. No screaming, just a mild, passive-aggressive exchange of viewpoints. Elections would be shorter, campaign seasons less exhausting, and instead of a two-party system, America would have at least 5 slightly different flavors of political pragmatism. Plus, parliamentary question period would make for some spicy CS-PAN viewing. Debates would feature respectful discussions rather than verbal brawls, and attack ads would be replaced with heartfelt campaign messages. Number 2. Free trade would actually mean free trade. Right now, both countries pretend they have free trade, but tariffs and trade disputes pop up like an unexpected snowstorm in April. A full merger would eliminate all those border slowdowns, meaning cheaper beer, easier road trips, and the ability to buy a car in Canada without feeling like you're committing international fraud. Consumers would rejoice, businesses would flourish, and cross-border commerce would thrive like never before. Number 1. The Great American Canadian Road Trip. No more border hassles, no more passport-required signs. Just one giant road trip from Miami to Yukon with nothing stopping you except gas prices and the occasional moose crossing. Imagine Route 66 extending into the Trans-Canada Highway. A true road tripper's dream. Now that's what we call North American unity. The possibilities for tourism would be endless, with iconic landmarks accessible without bureaucratic red tape. The best-worst idea ever? So should Canada and the US merge? If you ask the average Canadian, the answer is probably a hard no. If you ask an American, the response might be, wait, we have to add 10 more provinces to our flags. But despite all the logistical, cultural, and political hurdles, you have to admit, it's fun to think about. At the end of the day, the US and Canada are already best friends. They share the longest undefended border in the world, a love of fast food and hockey, and an unbreakable alliance in global affairs. Do they need to merge? Probably not. Would it be hilarious? Absolutely. For now, let's just agree to visit each other, trade some maple syrup for some fried chicken, and call it a day, eh? Thank you for joining us for this fascinating exploration of the top reasons why Canada and the US should merge. We look forward to unraveling more insights and mysteries with you in the future. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can stay informed about our upcoming deep dives into history, science, and the unknown. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about the merger? Would you like to see the two countries come together as one? If you found the merger of Americans-Canadians interesting and thought-provoking, share them with others and join us in uncovering the stories of both the past and the future together.